Welcome to Across the Goal Line, a sports podcast brought to you by diehard fans. And today, we got some NFL football for you. Week 16 is in the books. The playoffs are fast approaching. There's only a few more spots left in the playoffs. We're going to get into that. Who might make the playoffs, who is in the playoffs, who clinched this past weekend. Also got some college football bowl games. Bowl season's in full swing. Only a few more left here before the national championship game, which is next Monday.
2 Mondays.
2 Mondays, sorry. But we're going to go over some bowl games here this past week, a couple more tonight, and into the next week as well. But today we're going to start with some college basketball, as the season is in its infancy, only about a month in or so now. So let's get started with that.
All right, yeah, Corey. The college basketball season started on Veterans Day, November 11th. From Pearl Harbor, you had Arizona play Michigan State and Indiana play Kansas in the Armed Forces Classic on the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Now, when we talk about college basketball this season, we're only going to be talking about men's, not the women's. We'll get more into the women's when it comes to tournament time, but very briefly we'll talk about it. So it's going to be mostly all men's college basketball this season here on Across the Goal Line. As Corey said, the season just started, month and a half in. We've had a lot of good games so far. The season's been really crazy, really wild. So if you haven't been to a game yet or seen one on TV, you need to, because the season's only going to get better from here on out, because you know how college basketball season is, Corey. It's crazier than college football season. There's more upsets because college basketball is played every single day of the week. Unlike college football, it's played on only the weekends. And then come tournament time, that's why they call it March Madness. It's madness. So some games to note. As I said, Arizona beat Michigan State 65-63 on a buzzer beater in the Armed Forces Classic opener. And then Indiana defeated Kansas 103-99 in overtime in the nightcap of the Armed Forces Classic from Pearl Harbor, as I said. Some other games. You had Villanova defeat Purdue 79-76. Kansas defeated Duke in the State Farm Champions Classic. And I'm talking about a lot of these classics, early season tournaments. There's 21 of them this year. So if I get confused or if I say something wrong, you'll know why. There was a lot of games, a lot of winners from these tournaments. A couple of these teams played in a couple of different tournaments. So some to note, though, that have been in existence for a very long time: the 2K Classic, the Maui Invitational, and the Battle for Atlantis. And they've also been doing it for a very long time. It's good for college basketball. It's good for the players. Some of these players and families, they might not be fortunate enough to go to places like this with the team, or hell, with their family. Say to New York City, Hawaii, or the Bahamas, where those three tournaments are located at. So it's good for college basketball. It's good for the players. We'll get into some more games here. College basketball is also my third favorite sport behind college football and college football and the NFL. Excuse me, because it's just exciting. It's you never know what's going to happen. That's why they play the games. Baylor defeated Louisville 66-63, but then Louisville went ahead and defeated Old Dominion 68-62 in overtime. Duke defeated Michigan State 78-69. Michigan State sort of in a slump right now, but conference play just opened for the Big Ten and for a lot of other conferences around the country yesterday, Tuesday, December 27th. So Michigan State, you don't need to worry about them. They will be in the tournament at the end of the year. And who knows, they might make a run this year, unlike last year. They were the number 2 seed, and they lost in the opening round to Middle Tennessee State. Indiana defeated North Carolina 76-67 in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. West Virginia defeated their old state in Virginia 66-57. Corey, you want to read some of these off for me?
Oh, you're doing just fine.
All right, I'll keep going then. Duke defeated Florida. Duke's also my favorite team, if you did not know that. 84-74. I don't know if you have a favorite college basketball team. I know you like the Big 12. for a lot of college sports, though, for football. So you like the Big 12, you'll root for Kansas, say Texas, Kansas State, some good Oklahoma, some good Big 12 powers in college basketball. All right, Purdue defeated Notre Dame 86-81 in a game that was played at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn a couple weeks ago. UCLA defeated Kentucky again 97-92 for the third straight year in a row. The Bruins have had the Wildcats' number and John Calipari's number for the previous 3 years. Louisville, Kentucky, they played 2 weeks ago. Louisville won by 3. And then I think I talked about Virginia here a little bit. They lost to West Virginia. They just went out to Cal this past week and won by 4, 56-52. We'll get into some games that's going to wrap up this week and wrap up 2016. 2016 has been a great year for Across the Goal. We started in 2016. We're ending on a high note to move into 2017. Some games to finish out the week in college basketball. Virginia plays at Louisville, UCLA at Oregon, Duke at Virginia Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Devils are on upset alert. They have lost in Blacksburg a time or two. Villanova plays at Creighton, and then to wrap up some games for the start of the 2016-17 college basketball season. Notre Dame goes to Pittsburgh, and hopefully they'll defeat the Panthers, but we'll have to see about that. I could really care less who wins that game. I always root against both these teams, especially in college football. But college basketball, you got to pick them one time or another because the season's so long. Let's get into the standings now. I'm only going to talk about the rankings as of right now. They're in the 8th week of the season, month and a half in. Duke started the preseason. Duke was ranked number 1 in the preseason poll, but now they're ranked 5th with a 12-1 record after they lost to Kansas, as I said, in that State Farm Champion Classic by 2 back on November 15th. So I'll run down the top 25 right now, and then we'll get into some college football. Sound good? Villanova's at 1. They're 12-0. They received 56 first-place votes this past week. UCLA comes in at 2. They're 13-0. Big win over Kentucky. Again, a couple weeks ago, Kansas is at 3. Baylor's at 4. So you have 2 Big 12 teams that are back-to-back at 3 and 4. Duke's at 5, as I mentioned. Louisville and other ACC teams at 6. Gonzaga's at 7. Who knows if they'll make a run, say, to the Elite 8. Who knows, maybe the Final 4 this year. They're always in contention. They're always right there. But do they have that one player that can make that one shot when they need to advance them to the next game? Kentucky's at 8. Carolina's at 9. Both of those teams have 2 losses. Creighton's undefeated at 12-0. They're coming in rounding up the top 10. Real quick here, 11-20. West Virginia, Virginia, Butler, Wisconsin, Purdue, Indiana, Xavier, Arizona, St. Mary's, and Florida State out of the ACC. So you also have 3 Big Ten teams there from 14 to 16 with Wisconsin, Purdue, and Indiana. Looks like the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 are going to be the big powers in college basketball this season. You also have the Pac-12, though. Oregon comes in at 21. They've been getting better in college basketball, unlike they were a football school there for the longest time. When Chip Kelly was there, he goes to the NFL, and then Mark Helfrich just got fired, but now they have Willie Taggart, who just got hired from South Florida. So we'll have to see what the Ducks do there. To round up the top 25, we also have USC in the Pac-12 at 22, Cincinnati at 23, Notre Dame at 24, and Florida at 25. Some teams on the outside looking in, though. Maryland out of the Big Ten, possible threat to win the conference. Virginia Tech, as I said, could upset Duke this week. They received 37 votes to get into the top 25. Seton Hall, Clemson, and then Minnesota. Minnesota is undefeated at the moment. They could be another possible threat to win the Big Ten, excuse me. So with that, we'll move on to college football. Bowl games. We had 13 games to pick from last week. I went 7-6. Corey went 9-4. And that's not counting today's bowl games. We also have 4 bowl games today. So these these games will be counted on to this week's, last week's, record, but it's all going to add up to one big grand total at the end. Today's bowl games, we got the New Era Pinstripe Bowl coming up here in about an hour and a half from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Pitt plays Northwestern. You also have the Russell Athletic Bowl. West Virginia Mountaineers play the U in Miami, down in Orlando there. The Foster Farms Bowl, Indiana plays Utah, and the Advocare Texas Bowl, I know a game you really like, we've talked about it a lot, between Texas A&M and Kansas State. You still going to pick who you picked last week with those four? Are you going to change one or two of them? All right. I'm also going to stick with who I picked. So, as I said, I went 7-6 last week. This is why. BYU defeated Wyoming 24-21. Idaho defeated Colorado State 61-50. They were up big, and then Colorado State, almost came back and won the game. Got 2 onside kicks. It was ridiculous. Old Dominion defeated Eastern Michigan for their first bowl game win in school history. 24-20 was also their first bowl game in program history. Louisiana Tech defeated Navy 48-45. Ohio defeated Troy 28-23. Hawaii defeated Middle Tennessee State 52-35 in the Hawaii Bowl, so they get another win on their we'll get into some bowl games now for the rest of the way out. As Corey said, bowl season is wrapping up. College football season is wrapping up. You have the national championship on January 9th from Tampa, Florida at Raymond James Stadium. Tampa Bay Buccaneers play at. But tomorrow, you have the Birmingham Bowl, the Belk Bowl, and the Valero Alamo Bowl. South Florida plays South Carolina. Who are you going to take?
South Florida.
I'm also going to take the Bulls. They're 10-2. Willie Taggart, he left to go to Oregon, as I previously mentioned, but I think they'll be fine over Will Muschamp and the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Belk Bowl from Charlotte, where the Carolina Panthers play at. It's going to be Arkansas taking on Virginia Tech.
Give me Virginia Tech.
I'm also going to take Vol Tech. They're 9-4. Almost beat Clemson, who was in the college football playoff in the ACC title game. Arkansas, they're 7-5. They started out strong. A team we really liked all year long, Corey. That team that could, pull off that upset, week in and week out if they needed to. But they finished 7-5. They still got a good bowl game, but I got to take Virginia Tech. Valero Alamo Bowl. Oklahoma State plays Colorado. Bowl game. I think it's really under the radar. Oklahoma State. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl to kick off tomorrow, so at noon on ESPN. You got Georgia taking on TCU.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one, just because TCU, they're 6-6. They're up and down all year. And then Georgia playing the SEC East, they had their chances to win the East, to go to Atlanta to play the winner of the West, which was Alabama. But Florida was obviously the better team, so Florida represented the East. But yeah, I agree with you. It's tough. It's a tough game to pick.
I'm gonna go Georgia though.
I'm almost gonna take Georgia. As I said, TCU's been up and down all year, so who knows if they're gonna show up to even play. Now, last year they played Oregon in the Alamo Bowl, and the game went to triple overtime. They were down 28-0 at halftime, and they came back and won. So a lot of fight in their team. Gary Patterson's gonna obviously have them ready to play, but I think Georgia gets the job done. The Hyundai Sun Bowl, Stanford plays North Carolina. Christian McCaffrey will not play in this game. He's focused on the NFL draft. I'd really like to pick North Carolina. These teams are pretty much evenly matched up, but Stanford, I think they're just too much of a power, and I think they're still going to be able to run the ball effectively without McCaffrey. So I got to take Stanford.
I'm going to go North Carolina, though.
Take Carolina? All right. They're 9-3. South Alabama 6-6. They are bowl eligible, but there's other teams out there that weren't bowl eligible that are probably a better team. Now the Capital One Orange Bowl game I really like. It is this Friday night at 8 o'clock on ESPN. You got the Michigan Wolverines taking on the Florida State Seminoles.
Michigan.
Go Blue. The Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl. LSU taking on Louisville. You got Leonard Fournette, a preseason Heisman favorite, not actually playing in this game. He's also going to focus on the NFL draft. Taking on this year's Heisman winner in Lamar Jackson from Louisville.
No Fournette, they're going to lose. Louisville and win.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson has one of his best games, and he'll obviously be another preseason candidate to win the Heisman back-to-back next season. So I'm also going to take Louisville. Tax Slayer Bowl, you got Georgia Tech versus Kentucky.
Georgia Tech.
I'm also going to take Georgia Tech. Kentucky, they did have that big win against Louisville in Louisville a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, but they really didn't have a good season other than that. They did get bowl eligible. That's why they're in a bowl game. But Georgia Tech, triple option is hard to stop. If they can stop it, they'll have a better chance, but I think Georgia Tech's going to run all over them. Get into the 2 college football playoff semifinal games now. The first one on New Year's Eve at 3 o'clock on ESPN. You got Washington taking on Alabama.
I'm going to go Washington. I think that their defense causes Jalen Hurts to make a few turnovers. I think they get a few of those, get some nice points off of those. And I think Jake Browning shows up, plays a pretty good
teams did win their respective conference. I thought Penn State played a better non-conference schedule than what Washington did. Even though Penn State did have 2 losses and Washington only had 1. So I got to take Alabama. I think it's going to be close, though. I was going back and forth on whether it's going to be a blowout or really, really close, but I think Alabama's going to get it done in the end. The other college football semifinal playoff game, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Ohio State's going back to the Fiesta Bowl 2 years in a row. They blew out Notre Dame last year in Glendale. They take on Clemson in a rematch of the 2014 Orange Bowl, which Clemson won by 6.
I'm going to go with Ohio State.
I'm also going to take Ohio State. Go Bucks. Big Ten. Got to represent. So OH and hopefully Ohio State is playing Alabama in the national championship game come January 9th from Tampa, Florida. But who knows? We might have Washington versus Clemson. We might have Ohio State versus Washington. We might have a rematch of last year's game between Alabama and Clemson, which went down to the wire as well, which Alabama won only by 5 points. That is on those games are on New Year's Eve, the college football semifinal playoff games. They take New Year's Day off. New Year's is on a Sunday this year. The NFL and win the SEC East, which they did not. But so who knows? Georgia could be playing Iowa in the Outback Bowl right now. But I'm also going to take Iowa. Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Western Michigan's 13-0. They put their undefeated record on the line against Wisconsin, who was 10-3, who lost the Big Ten title game against Penn State, which was a great game too, by the way. But Big Ten, well, Western Michigan did beat 2 Big Ten teams this year in Illinois and Northwestern. But Wisconsin's more of a power than Illinois and Northwestern at the moment this season. So I got to take the Badgers. I think Western Michigan's undefeated season comes to an end. They finished 13-1. PJ Fleck's obviously going to be staying. He did not leave. But stay on the lookout. Who knows if he'll leave to go somewhere after next season. But I mean, it'd be really good, too, though, if Western Michigan did win, finish 14-0. Really the Cinderella story of the year in college football, if you ask me. And I said there's no reason why they shouldn't be in the college football playoff because they're undefeated. They did not lose. I don't care if they play in the MAC or not. They did not lose a game. And I don't care who they play. They did not lose. They were undefeated. But Wisconsin, I think, breaks that undefeated season. And Wisconsin beats Western Michigan.
I'm going to go Western Michigan because we see it all the time. There's this non-power 5 team that goes in. People don't give them much of a chance, and they end up pulling out the shocking upset. Think of Boise State years ago.
Yeah, Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. They're in the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, so this happens all the time, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens here.
Yeah, you look at the Rose Bowl when Wisconsin went back to back with the Rose Bowl. They played TCU, and Wisconsin just had defeated Nebraska in the Big Ten title game, 70-31, and they go out and defeat TCU. And this was before TCU was in the Big 12. They were still part of the Mountain West. And TCU ended up defeating Wisconsin. The offensive coordinator for that game was Justin Fournette, who is the head coach for Virginia Tech now, and the quarterback for TCU is Andy Dalton, who currently plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's a lot of connections there with that, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Western Michigan does pull out the win. As I said, they're 13-0. There's no reason why they shouldn't be in the college football playoff. I've liked them all year, but they're playing a Big Ten school in Wisconsin, who only has 3 losses, 3 good losses too, by the way. So Wisconsin, I think, beats the Broncos. The Rose Bowl now, USC plays Penn State and the granddaddy of them all. I'm obviously going to take Penn State. They're 11-2. They lost to Pitt, who plays today against Northwestern. Go Cats. And they also lost to Michigan. And then they beat Ohio State, who is currently playing in the college football playoff. So I'll go on about it again. Penn State should be in the playoff over Washington, but obviously they're not. But it is what it is. Still playing a good bowl game. A lot of people don't give these bowl games a lot of credit anymore because of the playoff. And there's still a lot of these good bowl games. There's good matchups in these games. Like this Rose Bowl with USC and Penn State, a rematch of the 2009 Rose Bowl to finish out the 2008 season, in which Mark Sanchez and Pete Carroll and the USC Trojans defeated Penn State, and they fought on all night long out there in Southern Cal. But I think Penn State gets it done. I think Saquon Barkley has the game of his life.
I'm going to USC. It's right in their backyard.
Yeah. Pretty much a home game.
Yeah, basically.
They already played at the Rose Bowl this season. Actually, last month they played at UCLA.
Yeah, but USC, I think they're a pretty quality team coming out of the Pac-12. People underestimate the Pac-12. I think that they're going to go out and play a good game and shut down Penn State. I mean, we'll have to see what happens in the second half. I'm sure that USC will probably get up early, as that's pretty much what Penn State has done all season.
Yeah, they've been a second half team all year.
But I think they shut them down in the second half, at least slow them down possibly, and get out of there with a win.
All right, and then to wrap up the college football season and the bowl season before the national title game, and then before the FCS national championship game between Youngstown State and Eastern Washington. No, Youngstown State already beat Eastern Washington. Excuse me. James Madison plays Youngstown State in the FCS national championship from Frisco, Texas on January 7th. You got the All-State Sugar Bowl. Auburn plays Oklahoma. I'm also going to take the Sooners. They're 10-2. Auburn started out slow, regrouped. They're in the top 10 there at one point. And they're ranked 13th right now, I believe. So I think this game's going to be closer than what a lot of people think. But I think Oklahoma gets it done. As I said, the national title game is on January 9th from Tampa, Florida. And we're going to pick that game next week, so stay tuned for that. And throw it over to you now. We'll move on to the NFL.
Yes. Week 16, the NFL is in the books. And more teams clinch their place in the playoffs. Yep. All the AFC is actually set, at least for the 6 teams.
Surprisingly.
Still some changes could be made in the seeding of it. But there's only 2 more spots left. The NFC North Championship and the final wild card spot.
Yeah.
And that NFC North Championship game is the last game we're going to pick. It's on Sunday night.
Got flexed into the Sunday night slot.
That game will decide that. The loser still might make the playoffs, though. Possibly. We'll have to see.
They got to have some other teams lose.
Yes.
And especially when they play on Sunday night, They're going to be keeping a close eye on those games earlier in the day. But, really, there's nothing they can do about those games. They got to just go out and do what they got to do and win the NFC North so they know they're in the playoffs. So they don't have to worry about other teams losing so that they can get the final wild card spot.
Exactly. But getting to our recap for the week,
Yep.
biggest upset, I had about 3 I have written down.
Yeah, I have 3 as well.
Eagles beating the Giants on Thursday night. No one really saw that coming. The Jaguars defeating the Titans is an upset in itself, but Mariota got hurt, broke his leg, of course.
There's actually 3 broken legs on the same day.
Yes.
Which I don't know if that's ever happened. You'll never see. When was the last time you saw one person break their leg in an NFL game? Let alone you see 3 people break their leg on the same damn day.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
And then my last one was Arizona defeating Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah, I have 2 of those. I have the Eagles over the Giants on Thursday night. I have the Browns over the Chargers. The Browns got their first win. They won for the first time in over a year against the San Diego Chargers at home. It was pretty much their Super Bowl, as Joe Thomas said. Their offensive tackle, who's been with the Browns his whole career, made the Pro Bowl every single year of his career. And then I also had the Cardinals over the Seahawks, as you did too. Seattle should have won that game, but Stephen Hauschka missed another extra point, and it looked identical to the one he missed in Arizona when they tied a couple months ago.
The best game I had was the Dolphins defeating the Bills in overtime. Dolphins, it ends up clinching them a playoff spot in the end. At the time, it gave them a really good chance of doing that, but then all 3 of the teams that they needed to lose that day lost. Tennessee, Baltimore lost the next day on Sunday.
On Christmas.
And Denver, who also lost on Christmas. So all 3 of those teams lost. They're in the playoffs now. Likely to be a 6 seed. There's a chance they can bump up to the 5, but Dolphins making the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Last time they actually won double-digit games as well.
Yeah.
Chad Pennington was the quarterback.
Yeah, after he left New York. I'm also wearing my Jets jersey. I did not get this for Christmas. I've had this for a couple months. It's Christian Hackenberg, if you can't tell the number. I also got this hat for Christmas. So throw that in with the Jets. Pennington played for the Jets, played for the Dolphins last time. Everything adds up. The Dolphins more than likely going to be playing Pittsburgh as that 6-3 matchup in the wild card round. We'll have to see if that game is going to be played on a Saturday or a Sunday. We'll have 2 wild card games on the first Saturday in January, and then the second Sunday in January. Then, since New Year's is on a Sunday this year, so I could see that the Dolphins beating the Bills. That was a good game. I actually watched it because CBS put it on because the Patriots were blowing out these Jets. And now Christian Hackenberg, the reason why I'm wearing this is because Hackenberg is active for the first time all season this week against those Bills at home. He's not going to start. They announced Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to start, but hopefully he's going to be seeing some playing time this Sunday for the first time in his NFL career during the regular season. He obviously played during the preseason, but hopefully he doesn't have a terrible game. I don't want him to have a great game either. Just something to build on and move on to next year. But who knows? Who knows if he's going to even be in New York next year? Because the Jets, they could draft a quarterback. They could, try to trade him, something. I would not be surprised if something like that happened at all. But best games for me, Bengals-Texans last Saturday night. The Texans won basically because they made Randy Bullock, a former Texans kicker, miss an extra point there to end the game. And they won 12-10. And then the other good game I thought was the Ravens going to Pittsburgh on Christmas and Pittsburgh getting the victory and winning the AFC North.
All right. Impressed this week. I had nothing I saw really impressed me personally, I'd have to say. I think teams that should have won their games won their games. No one really blew anyone out. That was impressive. Like the Patriots, for example, blew out the Jets. It's not impressive. We knew the Patriots were going to win anyway. More than likely big anyway. So nothing really impressed me this week in general. Just minor things. Nothing that really stood out to me, though.
I had the Redskins over the Bears. I know they played the Bears, but especially how the Redskins played the week before Monday Night Football against Carolina Panthers. A game that they had their chances to win. They probably should have won. And they've been on the outside looking in since that game. to possibly get the wild card spot in the NFC East, get 3 teams in then, because the Giants are the 5 seed at the moment. But that tie with the Redskins and the Bengals, it's not looking, it's hurting them. It's not helping them, because who knows if they'd have that one more win, how things would play out.
Well, they actually have a better chance to make the playoffs with that tie almost now.
But the thing is, with them losing to Carolina, it demolished it all.
All they need to do, though, is win, and they're in. Because the loser of the Lions-Packers will have 7 losses. The Redskins can only have 6 max. They'll be 9-6. They'll be over a team that's 9-7.
Yeah.
Bucks can only get 9-7. So Redskins win, they're in.
That's true. That is true. But the Redskins impressed for me. Disappointed Denver 2 weeks in a row. They've scored a total of 13 points in the past 2 weeks. So,
all right.
3 against New England and then 10 against Kansas City. Both at home. This past week on Christmas. Both at home. So just Denver disappointed.
I also had Denver.
Because they've had their chances to make the playoff, possibly get that 6th seed. But now Miami, got it with Denver losing in Kansas City on Christmas. So, Denver really disappointed.
I had Denver. Their anemic offense late in the season when they needed it the most fails them, bites them in the ass, and now they're going to miss on the playoffs after winning the Super Bowl this past season.
Yeah, but, you look at it, teams that always won the Super Bowl, in the past 10 years...
Unless your name's the Patriots.
They really don't make the playoffs next year, unless your name is the New England Patriots, as Corey just said.
Yeah, they're only really one that has, prominently at least, because they're in the playoffs like every single season.
It seems like it. They have won 8 straight AFC East titles. So
it hasn't been since the Dolphins in 2008.
Yeah.
They won the AFC East that year. But
the reason why Tom Brady blew his knee out.
Broke his leg, I thought.
No, he blew his knee out.
I knew he did against the Chiefs in the preseason, or the first week.
In the first game, it was like the first play of the game of the season.
Yeah,
he tore his ACL, and then Matt Castle had to come in and relieve him.
And then the playoffs that year, though.
As a wild card, but they didn't win the division, and then Matt Castle ended up going to play for Kansas City the year after that, signing a big free agent contract. He's currently with the Tennessee Titans, I believe.
I think
backing up
Mariota.
And so he will be starting this week against Houston at home. A game that could have decided the AFC South if Houston would have lost to Cincinnati this past week, but with Houston winning, they won the AFC South.
Yes.
So that game really doesn't mean a whole lot. We were going to pick it, but now we're not.
Yeah. Before we get into any games this next week here, week 17, the final week of the season,
it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe the season's already over. We're already into the playoffs. We're starting a new year. Christmas just happened, and the season's going to be over here in another 2 months with the Super Bowl. And then we'll have going to free agency, the draft. It's a cycle. It's life. A good quarterback. He's a Penn Stater. He actually walked on to Penn State. Never would have played unless Rob Bolden, who the hell knows where he's at now. One of them have sucked. McGloin started then when Paterno was still there in 2010 against Michigan in his first game I was actually at. And then 2011, he has a good year. Almost leads Penn State to the Big Ten championship game. But then the Sandusky scandal happens. Paterno gets fired. Penn State loses 2 of their last 3. And they don't win the East. Ohio State was ineligible to play in the conference championship game for violations for their own scandal, the tattoo scandal with Terrell Pryor. So Wisconsin ended up representing the Big Ten, and that goes back to the Wisconsin TCU game in the Rose Bowl, because Wisconsin won the Big Ten over Nebraska, and then Nebraska's first year in the Big Ten, and then TCU defeats Wisconsin. But back to Matt McGloin and the Raiders. They do have a tough matchup for his first game going into Mile High in Denver. surgery, but obviously he's done for the year. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. You won't be seeing him until next year. Same thing with Marcus Mariota, but the Titans are out of the playoffs. But I think if Oakland can run the ball, I think they'll be fine, but it depends on who they get matched up with in the playoffs. As I said, they could get a first-round bye, be the 2 seed. They could be the 5 or 6 seed. More than likely the 5 seed, because
Well, they can't be lower than 5.
Well, okay, Kansas City then would switch, because Kansas City, whoever doesn't win the division is going to be playing a wild card game. If Kansas City is a wild card, they're going back to Houston more than likely in a rematch of last year's wild card game, and then Miami goes to Pittsburgh. Oakland gets a bye, and then they got to play the winner of the 1 and 2 games. They play the lower seed. No, they play the.
Yeah, they play the lower seed.
Yeah, they play the lower seed. So
Lower number.
Yeah, the lower number seed. So I think Oakland's going to be all right for this week against Denver. Denver really doesn't have anything to play for now. They're eliminated from the playoffs, but they could ruin the Raiders' possible chance at a first-round bye. But Oakland's going to be fine. As I said, it just depends on who they get matched up with the playoffs. And then I'll talk more about it then.
For me, I think best case scenario, they're going to lose to the Patriots in the divisional round because they're going to be a wild card team.
All right.
But
well, I think a lot of people would like to see a rematch of what a lot of people will call the tuck roll game and a snow bowl. But the Giants are the only team to beat the Cowboys this year. Cowboys only have 2 losses.
True.
They're 13-2 right now. Dallas plays at Philly on Sunday. There's no Thursday night games, no Saturday night games this week. Every NFL game, there's no Monday night games this week. Monday Night Football is done for the year. All the games, Week 17, every year are on Sunday. So I really think it's New York Giants. But, I mean, if you get to the NFC title game and you still have the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons, I think the Atlanta Falcons have a more powerful offense than the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dallas has a better running game with Zeke over both Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. So I could see Atlanta beating Dallas then, but they'd have to go to Dallas. I believe those 2 teams played each other early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and look at that. But first it'd be the Giants, because they'd more than likely play them they'd obviously play them in the divisional round, because the Giants cannot win the division. The Cowboys already did, so they're obviously a wild card team. So first it's the Giants, then it's the Falcons. But don't forget about the Green Bay Packers. Don't forget about the Green Bay Packers. We'll get to that here in a second when we pick it.
all right. That's what you think. I'm similar to that. Obviously, the Giants, because they've already beat them.
Yeah.
They can do it again. And then, of course, the Falcons, mostly because of that high-powered offense in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They'd be able to put up more points, I think.
And Julio Jones, he hasn't played recently. He's been sitting out with an injury. Getting him healthy, come back. Dallas will probably double team him. It's going to open up for Tyler Gabriel and Mohamed Sanu. Open up that screen for Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. And if they can run the ball, effectively, Atlanta. I want to be surprised if the Atlanta Falcons are playing in Super Bowl 51 in Houston come February.
All right. And with that, we'll get into Week 17, where all these scenarios, and we'll figure out, based on at least our predictions here, who we think is going to be in those final 2 playoff spots, for in the NFC at least, and where the teams rank in the AFC as well. But before, of course, last week, I went 6-4, you went 8-2.
Yeah.
75-6-2-2. You are stretched in the season there.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay had a better season than what a lot of people thought. They also have a high-powered offense with Jameis Winston, Doug Martin. You got Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson on the other side. Jackson got hurt middle way through the year, but Cameron Brate no one knew who the hell he was at the beginning of the year. Had a phenomenal year. They actually just put him on IR the other day. He's done for the year, so he will not be playing in this game, and will not be playing in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. But I think Tampa gets it done. I think they beat Carolina for the second time this year. Remember, they beat them on Monday Night Football on a Roberto Aguayo field goal a couple months ago. So I think Tampa beats Carolina.
All right. Next is the Patriots taking on the Dolphins, and what can change? Can't really change much, but it should be a fine game. We'll see if the Patriots rest anybody, considering that they are likely to be the 1 seed. They're still technically playing for it, but who knows? We'll have to see. Dolphins could still possibly get the 5 if the Chiefs were to lose, possibly. But nevertheless, I'm going to have to take the Patriots in this one. Unless they rest guys, I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to win this game.
Yeah, I think New England's going to win as well. They already beat them up in Foxborough at the beginning of the year. It's good for... It'd be nice for the Patriots to go to South Beach on January 1st to start the new year. Get out of that cold weather, go to warm weather down in Miami there. Done for the year with an ACL injury. I think they'll get to Matt Moore, and New England's going to win big.
All right. Next game is the Ravens taking on the Bengals. Not exactly a playoff game that has any implications for that.
It would if Baltimore would have won last week, but since they lost, they're eliminated.
But it should be a pretty good game. These two always seem to have a pretty good game. I think I'm going to take the Bengals. I think the Ravens come out and disappoint in this game, lose a close one to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they lost a close one last week to Pittsburgh, and I think they get the win to end the year on a high note and move on to next year.
All right. Cowboys, Eagles. Cowboys, they already have the 1 seed. Yeah, but Eagles gave them a run for their money earlier this season. So this
a lot of people have given the Cowboys a run for their money. They just haven't been able to get the win in the end.
Yes, some have.
The Giants, they're the only team to do it, as we said. So,
but of course, Eagles getting a second crack at them at home, coming off a big win against the Giants. Who knows? Maybe they could do something here. Maybe shake the Cowboys' confidence going into the playoffs. Who knows? But I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys, though. They're too strong. Yeah, the Eagles might be able to win this one, shockingly, possibly. But if you're just looking at it, you got to take the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Cowboys, Corey. Playoffs rather than in Week 17, because then all people are going to be talking about, and Dallas Cowboys are going to be worried as well, for 2 weeks leading into their divisional matchup, against whoever it be, So, but yeah, Dallas beats Philly.
All right. Saints take on the Falcons. Falcons need to win to wrap up the 2nd seed, especially considering the Seahawks play the Niners this week. The Seahawks will likely win that game and keep themselves in contention for the 2nd seed. But Falcons, if they win this game, they get the 2nd seed. And I got the Falcons in the Georgia Dome. I think that they're going to put up a lot of points against a Saints defense that we know is not the best defense in the world. They're going to put up more points than the Saints, I think, in the end. And the Falcons will be your number 2 seed and get a first-round bye.
I think the Saints are going to win. I think they'll go into the Georgia Dome for the last regular season home game for the Atlanta Falcons. They open up the new Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome next year, literally right next door to the Georgia Dome. The Saints also play in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Same sponsor, don't get them mixed up. I know I will, but New Orleans, they beat Tampa last week. Now, if Tampa went to Seattle last week, kick an extra point. But that's why they play games. I mean, we're not picking it, so what I'm basing this on, I'm taking New Orleans over Atlanta, but I think it all adds up. You have to take San Francisco then over Seattle then, right?
If you're saying that the Falcons are still going to be the 2 seed, that means you are. So
I think Atlanta's still going to get the 2 seed.
All right. Giants, Redskins. Redskins, we've already mentioned they win and they are in because no one else will be able to overtake them. They're already in the first spot, looking in to the wild card, that 6th seed. So if they win, they're in. Because of course, either the Packers or the Lions are going to lose, one of them. But they're taking on the Giants, who I think is going to win this game. in a close one, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if the Redskins win this game, though. Giants already have their spot secure. They're going to be the 5th seed, I think, no matter what, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're the 5th seed no matter what, as far as I'm concerned. Unless there's some wild scenario that would happen that they might go to the 6th, but I don't think there is. But I think I'm going to take the Giants in this one. And in the end, I think the Redskins are still going to make the playoffs because I think, well, obviously the Packers or the Lions are going to lose. I think they're going to win because of their tie. They're not going to have that one extra loss. You say about having the one extra win. They're not going to have the one extra loss, and they might get in because of that. So
I'm going to take the Giants. They're going to be the 5. And then, I mean, we might as well go over that Packers-Lions game since it's talking about the other wild card spot, with the 6th seed. I think Green Bay is going to win that game over Detroit, and Green Bay gets in at 6. And with Washington losing to the Giants, Washington doesn't make the playoffs. The Giants and the Packers are 2 wildcard games.
Well, the Packers would win the North and be the 4th seed. And the Lions would drop out.
Well, the Redskins would be in then, yes.
Yes, the Lions would drop out. The Redskins.
But you saw the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers could be that 6th seed.
Well, I have them losing.
Okay, well I have them winning, so
they would be the 6th seed in your scenario.
Yes.
Lions. So I guess the Lions are my 6th seed at the moment, based on my picks at least. But I think the Redskins might do it. And the only other 2 games we have are both AFC West matchups. See who's going to win the AFC West. You got the Raiders taking on the Broncos first. I think the Broncos are going to win this game at home. I think Matt McGloin and a quarterback, they're going to have trouble. The Raiders will on the offensive end. I think that the Broncos defense will get at him. Their front 4, they'll get at Matt McGloin, pressure him to a lot of throws that might get intercepted. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough day for them. They're going to have to run the ball, obviously. And I think the Broncos, their offense doesn't need to do too much. They're going to do just enough to win this game. Of course, their offense isn't that good, but I think they're going to do just enough to pick up a win.
Now, you talked about McGloin throwing interceptions. He has played in a total of 6 games in his NFL career. It's back in 2013 when the Oakland Raiders were awful. He's thrown a total of 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. He's 1-5 as a starter. But he has his good track record in college. Then the Raiders draft Derek Carr. He hasn't played since Carr became a starter in the NFL. So who knows if he's gotten better since 2013 or if he's gotten worse. But I think, as I said, I think Oakland's going to be able to run the ball effectively, and their defense is going to stop Denver on offense. As I said, Denver's disappointed me the past 2 weeks. They scored a total of 13 points combined. So,
and that's it for this edition of Across the Goal Line.
Do we have one final question of the week for 2016, or do we have one final question of the year? I know we have a question of the day today. Go vote on here on Facebook, over on Twitter and Instagram. It's who's going to win the college football bowl game between West Virginia and Miami, Florida. I have West Virginia, but that's just me. I don't know. You people think that watch us, but that's me. I don't know. Corey already said who he's going to take too. Do you have a question of the week or a question of the year now?
I don't.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We won't do one for this week, and we'll regroup, and we'll bring you even better material starting next week in the first week of 2017, January already. But hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas. Hopefully everybody had a Happy New Year. And with that, I'm Luke Gossart. He's Corey Maines. Like us here on Facebook. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at ATGL16. Follow both of us on Twitter at ColeandLuke96 at CA Maines14. And we'll see you